Hello everybody, Rusted Ground here. Welcome back to The Longest Journey. We are still on Arkadia and we have to go speak with Tobias in the temple. So that's what we're gonna do. Yeah, we found out some information from Obnaxus here, and yeah, now we must go to the town center where the marketplace is and where the temple is, and talk to Tobias. So let's go to the marketplace and then let's go inside the temple.
Good morning, Tobias.
Why, it's April, my friend from Stark. Have you come to visit us again?
Yeah, not by desire.
So it appears. I didn't exactly come here by choice.
Wasn't our
this
choice.
time, though.
Oh? How so, if I may ask?
In a weird and twisted way, it's nothing out of what's become the substitute for ordinary in my life. One second I was in my room in Newport. The next, I was in a dark alley in Marcuria.
You must have opened a shift while you were sleeping. Good.
Yep.
This means you are learning to harness your
I don't think we're learning. It's
Yeah, I guess, except I don't think I'll be able to get
it's
back
not
home
something that we
again.
could control.
And this time my mentor, Cortez, has no idea that I'm here.
Ah, but I'm sure you will find a way to channel and control your power soon. In the meantime, is there anything I can do to help?
Well, whoa, we got a lot of choices here. So, yeah, let's start with this one.
I need to locate the disc that unlocks the Guardian's tower.
The disc that is the key? Yes, it is needed. It might even restore balance, provided the new Guardian accompanies it to the tower, of course. But you wish to find the disc yourself?
I have to. Cliché or not, it's our only hope.
You do this often, then? You know, save worlds?
It's an expression. Heroism in my world is more of a cliché than anything else.
I do not understand. But then I am merely a servant of the balance, while you are more. But yes, the disc. As I told you once before, when the Earth was divided, and the realm of the Guardian created, a disc was forged in the Well of Making. The disc was to serve two purposes: as a key to the Tower of Balance should it become necessary to enter it in the Guardian's absence, and as a replacement for the disc that is already in the tower should it be broken. The tower is now abandoned and locked, and the old disc shattered. I do think the time is right for the second disc to be brought forward.
So there is a second disc. What?
Where is the disc now?
At first, more than 12,000 years ago, it was kept in the open, at the Sentinel Enclave outside Marcuria. However, when thieves attempted to make away with the disc, it was taken away.
Why?
So that the 4 parts of the disc could be divided amongst 4 of the magical people of Arkadia. People who would have nothing to gain from the balance being compromised.
And who are those people?
What people were the disc divided amongst?
This I cannot tell you. I am not sure anyone remembers now. But it would be in the scriptures, I am certain.
In the scriptures.
What scriptures?
Yeah.
The scriptures of the balance. There are 13 of them. 13 is a strong number, rich in tradition, and... Did you know the Ireed High Council consists of 13 ministers?
No, we didn't.
No, of course you don't. 13 was also the number of the fathers who begat the Sentinel, and who built the Tower of Balance.
Yeah, where can we find it?
Where can I find the scriptures of the balance?
Pay a visit to the Sentinel Enclave, located outside the city to the east.
Okay.
The great library of the Enclave contains every book ever written by an Arcadian minstrel, and most others as well. Speak with Minstrom Yerin, the keeper of books. Tell him I sent you.
Minstrom. Okay. Where can I... Yeah, let's ask these other questions as well. Why not?
I need to find the entrance to the Guardian's realm.
There is one. You are right in that, but where, I would not venture to guess. In the past, when the time came for the Guardian to step down and another to take his or her place, the Guardian opened a gateway wherever it was needed. A Guardian, still in full control of the balance, can invite anyone in and let anyone out. But with the Guardian gone, the only way in would be the point where the divide was first created, where the tower was built.
Isn't that location written down
Yeah,
somewhere?
where is that exactly?
Remember that this was done on the old Earth before the divide. After the divide, after the creation of Stark and Arkadia, places were shifted about. This entrance may not even be on the ground anymore.
Okay.
What do you mean?
It could be up there, in the sky, or far below us, through the crust of the Earth into the molten depths
That's
below.
not promising at all.
I cannot say, and I do not know anyone who could.
Isn't there any way to locate the entrance to the Guardian's realm?
Perhaps with careful investigation of the old texts, histories of Arkadia, of the Divide, the scriptures. I do not know, April, but it cannot hurt to look. Again, you will find these texts at the Sentinel Enclave. Speak with Minstrom Yerin.
Okay, so it seems that we have to do a lot of reading in the Enclave.
I need to locate the two dragons that reside in Arkadia.
The Drykin?
What's the difference?
Dragons is a word from your world. The kin are not what they have become in your legends and fairy tales.
But they're real, aren't they?
Oh, as real as you and me, April. And old. They have been here since before our time. As you probably remember, the kin were instrumental in the Divide, saving mankind from a terrible end. But I know so little. Only what I can remember from my studies when I was a minstrel at the
course.
Enclave.
Okay. I bet you if we ask this, he's gonna say we need to go and read the scriptures or talk to the minstrom in the Enclave.
How can I get
Let's
more
see.
information on the Drakkin?
Books, daughter,
Yep.
books.
Here you go.
The wisdom of the ages. There is one tome you should study, called The Secrets of the Drykin, by Minstrom Elniak. It is old but informative, and it captures the imagination.
Where can I find
Where
this?
else?
Again, you will find these
course.
texts at the Sentinel Enclave. Speak with Minstrom Yerin.
I have a feeling that's where we need to go next. So, can we do this?
I need
As
help
well?
getting back home.
Unfortunately, I'm in no better state today to help you shift than I was the day before yesterday. You are the one with the talent, and so you must learn to use that talent.
Okay. Thank you, Tobias.
Thank you, Tobias.
Good to know I could help you, April.
Let's go to the Enclave, because I'm sure it's been open now, the location. We can find it on the map, so yeah, let's do that. Here we go, the Enclave. Stone wall.
Some kind of sandstone, very malleable, but also very vulnerable to the elements. These cliffs probably have huge, naturally formed caves and tunnels.
Cool. To the city. Down here, there's nothing down here. Into the Enclave. Great. Middle circle, stone dragon.
The dragon's mouth is pointing straight down at the middle of the floor.
So the entrance is through the middle of the floor, probably?
It's a circular hollow about 20 centimeters across and about 5 centimeters deep.
Okay. What is this?
It's a small recess about the size of my fist with a thin duct extending from the recess to the circular hollow in the middle of the floor. There are 3 others just like it, arranged with equal distance to each other in a circle and all connected via a duct to the center of the floor.
So does this mean that these ducts must be filled with something? Or what? Whoa, wait a second. Downstairs. Here we go. Of course. And there's... Can we pick up any of these books? I don't think so. Maybe if we talk to this guy over here, maybe he can give us the books.
It's one of the Sentinel Minstrel.
Okay, let's go. Let's go talk to him. Oh, there's a wheel here that we can activate as well in a pool.
Oh, goodness me, I didn't hear you come in. By the way, you haven't seen Volume 6 of the complete annotated history of the Northlands, have you? I could have sworn it was here yesterday.
No,
Sorry,
we didn't.
no.
Sorry, yeah.
I guess someone else must have taken it. I try to tell them to write down what they borrow on the list, but they never listen. Only last week I spent 3 hours searching the entire Enclave for the second scripture of the balance, the scripture of song, before I realized that Vestrum Tobias was studying it back in the city.
Was he now?
Now, such incidents could be avoided if only, and this applies to you too, young lady, people would sign out the books they borrow when they borrow them, and sign them back in when they're done.
Take it this is the Mistrum?
Such a simple procedure. It shouldn't take more than a few seconds to jot down your name and the name of the book you borrow. It makes my job so much easier. Now, which book did you want me to find for you?
Yeah, are you Mr.
Are you
Yaron?
Mr. Yaren?
Yes, of course. Oh, what a silly question.
We had to make sure.
How would I know? I don't know you.
Exactly.
I am Minstrom Yeren, keeper of the great library of Marcuria. In fact, this is the greatest library of all the Northlands. Perhaps of the entire world, although they say the Dark People have a library as big, if not bigger, than this one. But of course, we're not allowed anywhere near there. Have you
The
been
Dark
there?
People?
I don't think...
What a silly question. Of course you haven't. You're not of the Dark People, are you? You don't look like any Dark People I've ever seen, so I can't see how you could possibly... Now, where did Volume 6 disappear to?
Okay.
Tobias said I should talk with you.
Tobias? Vestrum Tobias? I haven't seen him for... Well, he was in last week, but before that it must have been days at least. How is he? Still eating enough for 2 mules?
We don't know that.
I must tell you of this funny story I heard the other day, of how Vestrum Tobias eats enough for a table full of
right.
Minstrom. Or was it one Elguan? Although the Elguan don't, as a rule, eat very much at all. Did you know that the Elguan can smell water more than half a day's journey away? Amazing, amazing creatures, perfectly suited for life in the desert. The balance provides, that's for certain. The balance provides.
Whoa,
I'll see you later.
I didn't want to... What the...
Yes, good.
I didn't want to click that. No. I wanted to ask him.
Oh, goodness. It's you
Yeah.
again. Oh, you gave me such
You're
a
kind
fright.
of a scaredy cat, aren't you?
Vestrum Tobias recommended that I look at some books.
Books is what we do best here at the Enclave, that is for certain. Which book would you like to see?
Yeah. Folktales, no. No, I think we're gonna go with this one.
I'm looking for some information, but I'm not sure which book to ask for.
No matter. I know a great deal about most of the books in here. What topic intrigues you?
Yeah, let's do this.
I need to find out which 4 magical people of Arkadia were given a piece of the stone disc that serves as the key to the Guardian's realm.
The stone disc of the balance, yes? Yes. There could possibly be something on that in... let me check. Just one moment.
Take your time, take your time. As long as we get the full information, I'll be happy. Now we can move around here, okay. We have to wait for him to come back.
I did find something of interest. I'll leave it here for you to read.
Okay. Chapter 16 in the 8th scripture, the scripture of breaking, regarding the disc of the balance and the event that came about when the disc was broken. The scriptures tell us that the disc was kept at the Enclave for many thousands of years, safely guarded from any threat by the respect held by every man and woman for the authority of the fathers. But with dissent came disobedience, and disobedience brought immorality, and immorality beget theft. Okay. Tyrant soldiers, aided by sentinel traitors, attempted to make away with the disc, but were thwarted by the wight of the kin herself, intervening, although forbidden to do so, on behalf of the fathers. The disc was brought safely back to the Enclave, but the threat would linger in the minds of the Minstrum and the Vestrum. So it became that the disc was melted in the forge of the dragon, the dragon's mouth, shaped into the elements of 4 magical people, and given to these respective people for safekeeping until such a time when it was decreed that the disc should once more be whole. 1 stone to the gentle soul that sing in the dark and shape the earth between their toes. Between the toes, okay. 1 stone to the watchers of the woods, the ones who are outside. 1 stone to the 2 that make one, of air and of sea, and 1 stone to the keepers of the dark flame, the eternally dark, the mariners. When the time comes for the disc to be whole again, 1 person will make a journey to the 4 who hold the pieces, and the pieces will be given willingly, because there will be no doubt to the righteousness of this person. Cool. I like it.
Are you done? Let me take that back for you.
Yep, thank you. So we're gonna have to travel in 4 different directions and meet 4 different cultures, I take it, right? To get the 4 stones, the 4 pieces of the disc. That's cool. Okay, what else? Come on.
Oh, goodness, it's you again. Oh, you gave me such a fright.
Could I see some more books?
Could I see some more books?
Oh, certainly. What a silly question.
Let's do this.
I'm looking for a story called The Silver Spear of Goriman.
Yes, a fanciful tale if I ever saw one, but a charming one. Did you know that I'm often paid visit by adventurers wishing to read everything available on the spear so that they too could set out on their foolish
Treasure
quests?
hunters.
Yeah, don't you just hate those adventurers?
Well, they pay for my bread, milk, and butter with their contributions to the coffers, so I shouldn't be too critical of them. But they care not about the books. They care only about what the books can give them.
I care. About the books, really?
I can tell. So, the Silver Spear of Gorimon,
Yes,
then?
please.
I did find something of interest. I'll leave it here for you to read.
Thank you, Yeren. The Silver Spear of Gorimon. In the glory days of Bakshiva, before the drought, when Gorimon was the greatest city in the known world, the Parich of Bakshiva decided to forge the most powerful weapon in the world to challenge the mighty White Dragon. The Parich had grown greedy and bored, his treasure hold filled with the riches of the world, and he desired nothing except the one thing he could never have, the unborn daughter of the White Dragon, the fairest, purest, most beautiful creature in the universe. That's us, I think. He had asked the White Dragon for her daughter's hand in marriage, but she had refused, scolding him from his insolence and warning him to keep his distance from immortals. What? And so the Parich sought the advice of the mighty sorcerer, the dark and cruel Eos, to learn how to kill one of the Draken. The sorcerer told the Parich of the white silver of Mount Tyranny, the strongest substance in Arkadia, and how it could be forged by magic to kill even one of the kin. The Parich ordered his army to go north across the ocean and to bring back enough white silver to shape a weapon. When his men returned with the rare metal, the Parich ordered the finest blacksmith in Bakshiva to his castle, where Eos the sorcerer cast a spell to create an unholy forge. 10 days and 10 nights it took before the exhausted blacksmith could present a tall spear to his emperor. But before the spear could be used to kill one of the kin, it had to be bathed in blood. Beheading the poor blacksmith and the soldiers who had retrieved the white silver from Mount Tyranny, the Parich's private bath was filled with their blood. As he dropped the silver spear into the red bath watched over by Eos, a terrible scream erupted, and steam rose up in a red foul-smelling cloud. When the steam lifted, the blood was all gone, and the spear was glowing in a deep red color. With the terrible weapon now ready to be wielded, the Parich issued the challenge to the White Dragon, to either surrender her daughter to him for marriage, or to suffer a painful death at his hand. Enraged, the White Dragon refused him yet again, and flew to meet the Parich, his sorcerer, and his 1,000-strong army on the green fields outside Gorimon. Of the magical silver spear, she knew nothing, and the Parich kept it wrapped in a cloth by his side. "Bring your forces around, Parich," warned the White Dragon. "If you do not, I will lay waste to them." "I wish my men no harm," lied the Parich, "for this is between the two of us." He then rode forward alone and dismounted his horse, but stayed within reach of the spear. The White Dragon landed before him, and she said, "You are brave to face me like this when you know you cannot harm me." Then the Parich raised a hand as if to greet her, but it was instead a sign of his sorcerer, the terrible Eos, who cast a mighty spell to hold the White Dragon while the Parich drew his silver spear. The White Dragon fought bravely, and she was close to escaping the sorcerer's magic, but the Parich was quick and he thrust the magic spear into her chest. She screamed in pain and anger, and the sorcerer's spell could no longer hold her. Rising on her beautiful wings, blood pouring down on the land below, she cursed Bakshiva, her parish, and her people for all time. Wherever the white dragon's blood fell, the land turned arid, the grass became sand. The parish sent his army to follow the white dragon and to bring back her egg. But the drought grew, and within days the once proud empire of Bakshiva was turning into a desert. Then followed a fierce storm that tore across the land for 100 days and nights, and when the dust settled, there was nothing left of Bakshiva but 2 coastal cities and a few scattered oases. It is said that the buried ruins of a lost capital, wrapped in the arms of the parish who dared test the immortal, rests the silver spear of Gorimon. Okay. So in the buried ruins of a lost capital. Cool. Quite a cool story.
Are you done? Let me take that back for you.
Yeah. Let's see what other stories we can read.
Oh, goodness, it's you again. Oh, you gave me such a fright.
Could I see some more books?
Oh, certainly. What a silly question.
A book on the history of Mercuria?
A book on the history of Mercuria would be interesting.
Ah, an extensive subject to be sure. I will do my best. I did find something of interest. I'll leave it here for you to read.
Okay. Travels in the Northlands by Jameen the Discoverer. The first part. In my many years as a traveling poet and bard, I have journeyed far and wide across the fair realm of Arkadia, and I have seen sights most people have not dreamed. I have stood in the magnificent and terrible southern capes in the midst of winter when the storms are in their fiercest, while waves as tall as the towers of Altaban washed over my frozen body. I have witnessed the monstrous beasts that lurk in those dark and deadly waters of the south, swallow brave galleons whole, creatures the size of mountains that with a flick of the tail can touch the depths of the sea and the stars themselves. I have crossed the great ocean from north to south and from east to west, and in the course been stranded on desert islands with no sustenance but what I could gather from the sparse vegetation for months at a time. I have ridden the giant Elguan across Shangagriel, the wasteland from Altaban to Monterba, and further south where the Teruk, the oasis, and few and far between, and I have seen the shifting dunes above the ruins of Gorimon, precious jewel of the Bakshivan Empire, concealed for centuries by the coarse and treacherous sand. And I have journeyed far west, carried on goodwill and destiny by shadow ships, to the strange and unknown cliffs of a world unseen by most, a world of unfamiliar tongue and customs, a world of great wonder and mysticism. I have seen all this and more, but the fairest sights still I have seen in the lands of the north, from a reed to the border mountains, from Tyrene to the Bay of Fire. No sight can ever compare to dawn at Mount Tyranny, looking out to the plains of Nehdrach, where wild stallions run free in the thousands, and to look on to the city of Coruscant, the pearl of fire, while the boiling sun sets in the ocean beyond, the slow waves reflecting dark yellow and red as they lap slowly upon the sandy shores, is an experience truly treasured and never forgotten. These lands are blessed by the Creator, shaped by men, yet wild and free and fertile, home to the greatest cities, the most precious sights, and the most cultured and civilized people in Arkadia. Of all of the fires I have rested my weary legs by, of all the taverns where I have learned the legends of tale spinners and memorized the songs of bards, of all the lands where I have wandered from city to village, it is to the Northlands I return, time and time again, to learn evermore. Join me now, for I will evoke in you the very emotions I first experienced when visiting the sights and treasures of the northern lands. Join me, and I will surely bring you there, to the exotic mists of this blessed land, and you will pine for its rugged coast and green woods and its hardy people, and like me, you will never rest until you can return to yonder shores. Marcuria, O Marcuria, thou unkept diamond of capitals, thou art by truth the fairest, thy counsel may many seek, for knowledge kept within is centuries sought and gathered. By men wiser than the ages, brought hither by word of mouth, Marcuria, changed thou not the course of war between thine people, diplomat, wise man, magician, all this and more, thou hast without equal the mark of merit and virtue. Okay. The august capital of Irede, the unified country, Marcuria, lies on the hardy southern coast of the Northlands, halfway between Tyrene and Coruscant. It is a port of call for merchants, traders, adventurers, and pilgrims from all four continents, a place of commerce and diplomacy for millions of humans and other species. Irede is a strong and proud land perched between the plains of Nehdrach to the north, the land of the Tyrene to the west, and the Great Sea to the south, and the forests of the Northlands to the east, and inhabited by humans, Dol Mari, Tyrene, Mole people, and the Veneer. Irede was formed after Marcuria emerged as a major center for diplomacy and trade, and became the banner under which the surrounding lands united as one. Irede is a democracy currently led by the chief council of the Irede flag, Lord Igvan Dellen. The High Council, composed of the ministers who govern by representation, resides in the Marcurian Hall of Assembly, flanked by the palace and the barracks. The Iredes are traditionalists, and their form of government has barely changed over the last few millennia. In High Tongue, Irede means unification or assembly. Marcuria is one of the largest cities of Arkadia, the capital of Irede, and a center for trade, diplomacy, and cultural diversity. Populated by a large variety of races, from human to Veneer, Marcuria has grown from its origins as the birthplace of humanity to a city of all Arcadians and the hub of the civilized world. Founded 20,000 years ago at the shore of the then unconquerable ocean, it is the first known permanent settlement of the emerging human race. Initially left to its own devices by more developed races, Marcuria grew large and fat and wealthy. With newfound confidence, it passed through a period of expansion which gained a reputation as a merciless aggressor, which soon brought violent attention from the Tyrene in the west and the Dolmari in the north. After years of war, Marcuria was decimated and subsequently rebuilt with sufficient reinforcements to weather attacks from both sea and land. Peaceful times followed, whereupon Marcuria settled into a role it has in today's Arkadia. Although all surrounding areas fall under the jurisdiction, there is sufficient self-governing and few central taxes to appease all but the most disgruntled. The large areas of farmland around the city benefit from the well-kept roads, markets, and the busy exports to other lands. Nearby villages benefit from the military might of Marcuria, protecting them against roving barbarians and Tyrrhene armies. And Marcuria also provides the people of the Northlands with one of the best and busiest ports in Arkadia, allowing travel to distant destinations around the world. Whoa, that was quite a lot of information.
Are you done? Let me take that back for you.
Yeah, I think we're going to stop here for now, even if we have more books to read, because, this episode has gone long enough, in my opinion. Let me just see what other options we get from Mistrum Yeren.
Oh, goodness, it's you again. Oh, you gave me such a fright.
Could I see some more books?
Oh, certainly. What a silly question.
Let's see. So, we read the Silver Spear, we did this one, we read the History of Marcuria. I'd like to reread some Arcadian folk tales. Let's try this one as well then, and then we'll then we'll stop.
A favored topic of mine. I have just what you're looking for.
So, it's quite an interesting history we read so far, and I think we really need to go to the docks and talk to the sailors there. But yeah, we'll have to see. Let's see what we find out from reading these folk tales.
I did find something of interest. I'll leave it here for you to read.
Sadra the Faithful Wife. Sadra was married to a brute of a man named Care. He was a bully who drank, cursed, gambled, and beat up his wife when he'd lost coins at the cup's table. Still, Sadra treated Care with respect and care. She fed him when he was hungry, she made his bed and washed his back, and she lay down by him when he told her to. She never complained of her hardship to anyone, even though some days she woke up with bruises all over her body. Despite her husband's treatment, Sadra was a beautiful woman with lovely dark hair and green eyes, and men would admire her when she went to the market for food on the town well at the town well for water. But none dared approach her, fearing the dangerous husband more than they admired her beauty and grace. People would say, "Poor Sadra, she deserves better than what she has. She is so good and patient even though her husband mistreats her every day." But no one was willing to do anything to free her from her husband, as they all feared his wrath. "She chooses her own path," they would say, "and it is not our duty to interfere." Then, one day, a tall and handsome prince rode into town to visit with the elder council. When he spotted Sadra carrying 2 heavy buckets from the well to her home on the edge of town, he was taken with her beauty and youth, and he jumped down from his horse to help carry her buckets home. On the way, he offered Sadra courtship, but when told she was already married, he bowed respectfully and excused himself for acting inappropriately. That night, Sadra's husband heard about the prince helping his wife, and after striking her down for letting royalty interfere with her duties, he strode drunkenly, for he had already had his usual fill of dark ale, towards the tavern where the prince and his cohorts were staying. When Care arrived at the tavern, the prince was eating dinner, and when told Sadra's husband was there to see him, the prince stood and waved the man closer. "I must congratulate you on your good taste in marriage," said the prince, "for your wife is the most beautiful and good-hearted woman I have ever met." And then he offered Care a seat and a tall mug of ale. But the angry husband did not appreciate the prince's advances, and he drew a sword and plunged at the prince before his guards could react. The prince was quick and lucky to avoid certain death, and before Care could make a second strike, the prince had recovered his sword from where it stood by the wall and stood ready to fight the brute. "Leave him be," called the prince when his guards drew arms and ran to protect their liege. "This is between him and me." Smiling briefly, he nodded his head to Care and stood to attention. Obviously, his skill with the sword was formidable. Care, a coward at heart, knew that if he fought fairly, he would surely die, and he sheathed his sword but loosened the knife he had tucked up in his long sleeve. "My pardon, Prince," said Care. "My love for my wife is such that I am blinded by jealousy. I offer you friendship and apologies." He extended an open hand to the prince and smiled a broad lizard smile. The prince, unaware of Care's mistreatment of his faithful wife, smiled back, put down his sword, and extended his own hand. "Your apology is accepted, sir." Then suddenly Care's knife was in his hand and moving in a blur towards the prince's exposed throat. Had it not been for the quick eye of a nearby guard who with the broad side of his sword struck Care on the side of his head, the prince would have been dead. The knife carved a deep scar in the prince's shoulder, but did not seriously harm him. Care was taken away to the town prison to be judged when the sun rose. His crime was surely punishable by death, especially if Sadra would testify to his cruelty in front of the judge. Free of Care's tyranny, the townspeople now spoke of Sadra's suffering by her husband's hand, but Sadra would not herself even now speak against her husband, and instead of being sentenced to death, Care was sent away to work the king's mines for 25 years. Taking with her faithfulness, the prince yet again offered Sadra courtship, but again Sadra declined, for she was still a married woman. Then, 1 year later, Care attempted to escape the king's mines by killing 2 guards and climbing the walls, but he was shot down with an arrow and died in agony and disgrace. Again, the prince visited Sadra's town, bringing condolences and a renewed offer of courtship, and this time Sadra agreed. Months later, the prince and Sadra were married in a glorious ceremony, and when the old king died, the prince became regent and Sadra his queen. She was a good queen, as the land had ever seen, and she was loved dearly until the day she died, and her funeral was the greatest and most tearful in memory. Okay. The Children of the Lake. There was a village by a lake where no couple had borne a child for 20 years. The villagers were desperate, for without children their village would wither and die, and they turned to their god for help. The next morning, 50 young children rose out of the misty lake and wandered into the shores, much to the joy of the childless women. "We are yours," said one of the children, "as long as you remember one thing. You are never to fish from this lake again. Instead, you must learn to hunt in the forest and live off the land." The villagers agreed, though they worried they might go hungry since they were used to catching and eating fish from the lake. But it didn't take long before they had taught themselves to hunt and grow wheat and potatoes in the fields. 18 years passed, and then one day an old man grew tired of rabbits and deer and potatoes and bread, and he longed to catch a big fish and cook it over a sizzling fire. He took his boat out to where the villagers would not see him, and he sank his line. Almost immediately he caught a large trout, but as he was rowing back to shore, he saw the children of the lake wander from their homes back into the dark waters from whence they came. Their mothers called for them, tried to hold them onto them, begged them not to leave, but they would not speak, and one by one they disappeared into the lake. The old fisherman then saw, as the children sank into the murky waters, how they turned into large fish and sped off into the deep. He was shameful then and dropped his catch back in the water, but it was too late, and the village would forevermore remain childless. Oh, that's a very sad story.
Are you done? Let me
Okay.
take that back for you.
I think we're done. At least we're done for this episode, guys. It's been a little. It took a little longer. I hope you are okay with me going through all these stories. I certainly enjoyed them, and we found out quite a bit about the history of Arkadia and the lands. So yeah. So we're going to have a lot of questions, and we're going to need to get a lot of answers. But that will happen in our next episode. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.